hundreds of armed robberies recorded across the country, while communities in regions such as the northern region have relied heavily on special police deployment to curb violent crime and drug trafficking. At the same time, recruitment into the security services has come under intense public criticism, raising questions about transparency and the overall management of security sector staffing. Those are the hot issues. I am Kemeni Amano. In the episode you're about to see, the Interior Minister attempts answers to some of your most pressing questions as I interrogate him on the safety of this country. This is Hot Issues, and my next guest is Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, the Interior Minister.
In Ghana, we don't just watch athletics, we feel it. From inter-house heats to international meets, the speed, the grit, the leaps, the photo finishes, broken records, the moments that steal your breath and make strangers hug like family. This May, Africa's biggest athletes will converge in Accra for the 2026 African Athletics Championships, and every single moment will be live on TV3. Don't just hear the roar, be inside it. 3 Sports, TV3. First in news, best in entertainment.
Honorable, you're welcome to Hot Issues.
Thank you.
How safe is this country?
Well, let me start by thanking you sincerely for coming to my office, and I will say that we are safer than January 2025. Why do I say that? I came to office and we had a total of almost 11 curfews, right from Bimbila to Bunkurugu Yoyo. Later, just as we came, it shot up, brought in Nalarugo in, Wale Wale, Binduri, Boama, later Sola Tuna Kalba came in. But thank God today, as we sit, we're all of 3, Nkwanta, Sampa, and Boko. And each of them are from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And for those of us who are working within this space, we'll tell you that by the time a curfew goes to 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., you know that the problem is largely down. Our streets are getting safer. Our men and women are getting more active. We are doing the best that we can, and I will say that under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we are getting safer. And I want to believe that many people will attest to the fact that it is much easier to go out in the night and walk around without necessarily watching your back. So, yes, we are not out of the woods. The challenges are not completely over, but we are getting better.
These 3 curfews that persist, what is the reason behind those?
Well, in the case of Boko, it's known to all of us, which is the Kusasi-Mamprusi conflict. Well, the Alhaji Seydou was taken out, so it's no longer in Boko. The issue of who is the Boko Naba is resolved through the Asantini mediation, but you don't expect trust to be built immediately because all this has been done. So we continue to monitor the situation and continue to talk to all the parties. Peace Council is working so hard to see how we can rebuild peace and trust among the people, so that they will coexist hand in hand without necessarily shootings and confronting each other. So largely, I would say that we've been largely successful.
What did you do in the other cases that is not working with these 3?
Well, I must admit, the issue of Boko is not of today. For those who have followed the history, it's before our independence. So something that has been so deeply rooted, you don't expect that by just cutting the tree, the root will die. I mean, it takes a while. So because it's been a long, outstanding issue, it requires some more time to be able to unwind it. So, but we are on it and we are doing the best that we can. And I'm very hopeful that the grace of God will soon even be able to lift the curfew.
As of July 2024, you told the Ghanaian people that the country had recorded 628 armed robbery incidents nationwide, alongside 340 murders. Your words, the statistics are not looking good at all. In 2024, there were about 1,219 reported cases and 552 murder cases. This was at the end of the year 2024. By mid of July 2025, we were already seeing 628. By the end of the year 2025, what were the crime statistics?
Well, I don't have it offhand, but I can assure you that it was a better outcome than 2024. But the challenge that we have is that for me as Interior Minister, every single life lost, it's not something that you can just count and make it look as if it didn't matter. Every life that is lost is so important to us. We continue to engage our citizens, make them to believe that, look, there are so many ways you can resolve your differences rather than trying to resort to violence. One of the things that has been working, and I also want to thank His Excellency the President for the massive support, where people commit crime and they want to hide behind political lining and sometimes influential people. And I will just stand my ground and say, no, I'm blind. Crime is crime. We'll treat crime as crime and we'll punish for crime no matter who is involved. I think that is helpful. And sometimes when you have a situation where you don't have the full backing of the president and some of those things, it makes it difficult because then in one case you are seen to be firm, in another case you are seen to be lenient. But believe me, since I came to this office, I have insisted and thanked the Inspector General of Police and his team. I say, look, go in and they go in. Nothing stops you from arresting somebody who has committed crime. And I think that is largely helping. But our general citizens, the citizens themselves needs to know security first rests with you. And let us all coexist and try to resolve our problems through legal means.
If by middle of 2025 we're already more than half of the number of robbery cases recorded and murder cases recorded in 2024, it's easy to project that by the end of the year we are either around the same figure or maybe a little higher. How do you explain to the Ghanaian people that you did better?
Oh no, let me also state this. When it comes to this crime statistics, I don't want it to be like a league or an issue of we and them.
Well, but then it is also what the current administration is doing to protect the Ghanaian people.
But the most important thing is that, unfortunately, crime statistics is not like, if last year January it was 15, this year January is 12 or it's 5, then this year is better. Because you don't know what is going to happen in February, you don't know what is going to happen in May, you're not sure what is going to happen in September. What we do is that, especially when we got the statistics, we looked at the numbers and then we tried to beef up our work. And if you recollect, before the middle of the year where we were talking, a number of places we couldn't go because of the nature of conflict, because we didn't even have armored vehicles. And by the grace of God and the help of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, by the third quarter of last year, we got some 50 armored vehicles that were helping us to go into areas that were, originally very difficult for us to go. If you ask the police or the security people to go, they are concerned about their life because obviously their bodies are not armored, so they are concerned and they were hesitant. Now we had the armored. Wherever you ask them to go, they have the tool to be able to go in there and prevent escalation and all that. So I want to believe that partly contributed to the reduction. But I can assure you that my and our concern is not about somebody during his time. There were 10 lives lost
but
during
how
our
would you measure your performance?
There's 5. I want to measure our performance to the extent that no life is lost.
But we can't say that.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's our ultimate goal. That we'll wake up and there will be no murder. Nobody will be killed because of some differences or armed robbery or whether chieftaincy or land dispute. but other people will try to resolve to legitimate means of resolving their conflict. That will be our ultimate goal. And that's what we'll be working towards, rather than patting myself on the back to say that, oh, because 600 people lost last year, if this year 500 lives were lost, then I've done well. No. My hope is that no life should be lost. And it should come to me as a sad incident. If even one person loses his life, I will ask myself, could we have prevented this from happening? If yes, what did we do that we didn't prevent the life from being lost? If there was nothing we could have done, what could we do to create a situation where we could have prevented the loss of life? For me, and I believe for the government, that will be what we will be looking at, instead of the we and them. And because obviously we are in 2026, we'll be watching that against 2025. Are we going to be saying that if there are loss of life this year, even though it may be minimal to 2025, that's an improvement? For me, like I told you, what is it that we can do to prevent the loss of life or unnecessary loss of life? That's where we are focused. Yeah.
But it's not just, cases of robbery and murder. According to the Small Arms Commission, there's been a 253% rise in gun-related violent incidents in the first quarter of 2025 alone, compared with the same quarter in 2024, which means that we've seen an increase since this administration took office. How do we explain that?
Well, I mean, you realize that that's partly why we started to bring in about the gun amnesty. Because we realize there are a lot of guns in civilian hands. And you and I keep watching where they go to funeral grounds and then people, come showing so much bravery. They're using pump action. Some are even using AK-47. Remember this this gentleman who was firing in a crowd. And the next day we made sure that he was arrested. The gun was seized. He was put before the court. The swiftness with which we are acting, for me, is a better way of looking at how we are performing instead of the number. Because yes, the numbers, people do not just wake up and then pick a gun. What we know is that
53%.
This 253%. Yes, I agree. It's alarming. But if there were 50 guns and now people have 200 guns, you say that that's over 300%. Increase. But the challenge
that will also mean that we are dropping the ball on the work we are supposed to do.
What it also means, the most important is that the gun that people have, what are they using it for? Are they using it for hunting? Because if you are
I can tell you what the Small Arms Commission says. It says that armed robbery, violent confrontation, and chieftaincy disputes accounted for over 60% of these cases. Yeah. And so that's what people are using the guns for.
That's why we came in with the amnesty. And then when we do the amnesty period, as I'm sure you may have the statistics, it showed that we're able to retrieve over 4,000 guns in the hands of the civilians. And before even then, we had about, over 1,100 or so, about 11,000 that we have retrieved. Now we are marking them, preparing to destroy them. Here again, I came to the ministry to realize that the registration for guns where simply you just write to the minister and then they do background check and then they grant it. Now I have slowed down the granting of those licenses. We are moving on to streamline the importers to ensure that people just don't import and sell in the open market. We came to inherit a situation where, like you saw the fire in Kedetia, and there were shops that were selling guns in the open market, which is grossly against the laws. Yes. And all these things are measures that we are putting, because you need to put them in magazines where the police are aware. Even if you are going to sell it, we need to know who you are selling to. Now we are moving on to digitalize that. And that's one of the things that we are trying to do, to make sure that we know every gun that every person is holding. Mm-hmm. Because the law is said that you are supposed to renew it every year. Even if you get the license for it in November or even December, and 31st December comes, it expires. So, but because the registration is manual, it becomes difficult for you sometimes when you want to ask them, what is the data? Then they are running helter-skelter, opening files to tell you that it is this number. Later they come and tell you, oh, we didn't count well. Now we are trying to do the digitalization. You know, we also are partnering the United States. We have what we call the iArms, where these are digitalized, and where even when you are bringing it abroad, we're able to tell that whether this gun has been involved in violent activity somewhere. And there's a number that we've had with the United States since we came, I think about 9. 6 of them were involved in some crime in the United States. They came, we went through the motion and handed it over to them. The rest are with us, waiting for us to destroy them. So we are trying to review the process of acquiring gun license to make sure that we strengthen the regime and prevent the rampant usage of it. As you may be aware, during the amnesty, we categorically stated that people should stop using them at funeral grounds and outdooring and some other activities. Yes, enforcement is a big challenge because we are trying to engage the regional House of Chiefs and make sure that our chiefs are fully on board. We are not saying that the masquerade, those that they've been using as part of the tradition, we are saying is that we are not saying they shouldn't use it. We are saying that can we get them trained? Can we mark it so that people know how to use it? One of the things that we are even doing at the ministry is to partner a private person to set up gun training points.
Why can't our police do it?
Our police, lack of resources is the same challenge they always tell you. So we want a private person to partner the police so that we can get most of these firing ranges properly done, so people can go and pay for the training before the minister approves for your license. So for example, you apply for a license to use any of the firearms, we ask you to go for the training. You go for the training, you come back with a certificate that shows that you have gone through the process and you know how to fire it, how to keep it, how to make sure that you store it, because all these things can sometimes lead to unnecessary deaths. So these are some of the things that we are doing to make sure that we create an environment that guns are not used unnecessarily for committing all manner of crimes.
But if we can bring in a private person, I don't suppose that will be free. And so why won't those resources rather go to the police so that the police can set up those ranges?
Okay, so the challenge is this. You don't have the resources to revamp all the ranges. So the private person comes in to partner the police. So they put up all these ranges, maybe in all the capital cities, to make it easy for people to be able to do it. Then now when you apply for a license, we say now you go for training and get certified. That will be done by the police, obviously partnering with a private person. Then they train you and show you how to do it. Then they issue a certificate to you that will now tell us that you now know how to use the gun before we grant you the license. So these are some of the measures that we are putting in place.
You're tightening the gun license application process.
Obviously.
But at the time you launched the amnesty program, what you said was those who do not take advantage of the amnesty program will face the full rigors of the law after the expiration of that amnesty program. How are they facing the law today? Obviously,
I mean, you can see that if you've been monitoring the activities of the police and the special unit, the stop and search has been intensified. And interestingly, we are arresting a lot of people with sometimes much guns that we wonder where they got it from. I mean, I remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, a gentleman was arrested with about 6 AK-47. And we were wondering what was he doing with all this. So all these things are on, the stop and search. We are in the process of acquiring what we call the weapon detection system. That enables them, because now most of the time they use metal detectors and they use their physical hand. So the president has assured us that he was going to assist us to be able to get the necessary resources to acquire weapon detection system, where even if a truck is coming, you don't need to offload. You just ask them to pass through. It stands like a scanner. You just go through it, and it's able to tell if there's a concealed gun within the concern before you even do the offloading. If you stop a taxi or a private vehicle, they have it's a handheld. You just take it around, and you'll be able to tell you that there are some arms in there. Police and the CID, the PID, even the narcotics, we've started training canine dogs to help in identifying this, because we believe that the much arms that you have within your system, the tendency for people to use it to commit violent crime. So yes, we are intensifying this, but admittedly, resources are not just unlimited where you can just run agog with all the things that you want to do at a go. But you can be rest assured the amnesty period is over. We are now in the process of even announcing to the country when we will destroy all the arms that we collected. We are currently marking them in the regions. Marking them in the regions for a reason that if you are going to move those that you collected in Kumasi to Accra for the destruction, if you don't mark them and then it falls into wrong hands, you will not be able to see it. Now they are marking them, and I'm sure maybe by the end of this month they'll finish all the marking and move them to Accra, where we'll set a date and then we'll do the public destruction. Then beyond that, we'll then intensify the stop and search, especially hopefully when we get the weapon detection system, maybe by the second or third quarter of this year. That will enhance the stop and search. But currently that's what the police are doing, and it's yielding a lot of results. And remember, as part of the amnesty, we said it, we're also using informant, where you give us information that Muntaka is hiding a gun. Once we're able to find a gun, then we reward you for giving us those information. And that is working very well with the police.
I see. How many informant information have you received since you launched this?
Well, that would be too difficult to tell you sitting in the public, but I can assure you that the IGP and the team, even here, sometimes we are here, people come, and then we direct them to the right quarters. And then
how many gun licenses have been issued since 2025?
Well, I mean, since I came, I have restricted the issuance, because especially when we realized that there were too many in the House of Citizens, I said, look, can we pause and do this amnesty before we continue? So, for example, the whole of the 2025, I don't think the gun licenses that we issue is even up to 10. We've restricted, and there are a lot of applications sitting on my, even today, there was one that came, it's sitting on my desk, because we want to finish the streamlining before we continue. You cannot be within the ants and then be picking those that are on you. So we have slowed down the issue of licenses.
I've heard you attribute lack of resources to a number of the issues that you have to deal with. Is that the biggest obstacle facing your ministry at this time?
Well, I want to believe that it's not only my ministry. Almost, I mean, the government, knowing very well that we inherited an IMF program, I mean, an economy that was heavily challenged. By the grace of God, we are working so hard, and the economy has started responding. Obviously, resources are heavily constrained. One of the things that we have been doing at the ministry to augment the challenge with resources is using private partnership. As we now speak, the Ministry of Interior now has about 18 of our services that we render that have gone digital, no more manual. We are partnering. So there's fees, we've revised the fees and charges, and then we are trying all this that we do. Some of them we are doing with private people. I mean, we have the fire service. We are partnering private people, private organizations to do what we are calling the AFCAS. That's the automated fire, safety arrangement that we currently have. So one of the things that we have tried to do at the ministry is to see of all the services that we render, which of it that we can partner private people to come with their capital, whilst, I mean, the proceeds are shared. And it's looking very well, because
you say 18 of them at this time?
18 of our services. Now, if you want to apply for private security organization, you do it online. If you want to apply for explosive removing, delivery and importation or exportation of explosive, it's online. Auctioneer's license, you do it online. There's a lot, even dual citizenship, naturalization. We just finished the diaspora yesterday. All of it was online. I just sit on the desk here. Officers work on it. It comes up. I mean, you pay online. So, and that has helped us to plug most of the loopholes and abilities, and also it has enhanced the revenue that the ministry is generating, even though we keep just 33% of whatever we are able to collect. But I can tell you that a year from last year to now, we are working so hard to improve the finances. But as you know, in Ministry of Interior or in the security areas, the gadgets, the equipment that are required are very expensive. I mean, you're talking about fire tender, that's several millions. You're talking about armored vehicles. These are not things that you can easily do. So we keep following on His Excellency the President, and graciously with the police, we're able to get some 100 pickups for them, we're able to get some 50 armored vehicles for them, some bulletproof vests and other. I mean, with the others, prisons, we're able to get some pickups for them. I mean, I recollect very well that the buses that they used to take inmates, remand prisoners to court, was so dilapidated. We're able to get 3 new buses for them. They are not adequate, but at least we keep showing a lot of goodwill. The feeding grant of inmates was just 1 cedi, 80 pesos. Today is 5 cedis. 5 cedis is still not enough, but at least compared to the 1 cedi, 80 pesos, that's an improvement. So yes, we've been working very hard to improve almost all the things that we are doing, but obviously, resources is a real constraint.
Absolutely. And I do want us to talk about those fire tenders. The promised fire tenders, have they arrived? Have they been delivered to?
Well, as you know, the nature of fire tender is, I mean, if you have cash, it's not just on the shelves, you just go and pay and then pick it and come. But we are in the process. Well, I mean, Finance Minister has given us a commencement, so, and obviously, this is public money. So you have to go through the Public Financial Management Act. That's go to PPA, make sure that all the things are properly done. We don't want to be caught up in sole sourcing issues. So we are trying to do restrictive tendering. So you give other people opportunity. Even if you know this person has given you a good deal, you say, okay, can we see what others do have? Let's see what specs you have. Let's compare it to what the others have. So we are going through those processes. But I'm very optimistic. All things being equal, maybe if you are lucky by the 3rd quarter or 4th quarter of this year, we should begin to see the fire tenders arriving.
Have you received crime statistics for 2025 from the police service?
No, not yet. I mean, they normally...
Is there a reason they are not releasing crime statistics anymore?
Well, I think that this will be an ideal for the IGP. What I know is that every week they come for a meeting and they give me the statistics of all the things that happen over the week. And we try to get quarterly. We'll discuss it and see where the shortfalls are. I will encourage them to be publishing it because that helps the citizen to know where we are. But I tell you, they are also heavily challenged. If I tell you that the CID that's supposed to do a lot of the things, the kind of IT system that they have and how it is becoming obsolete. Currently, it's one of the things. Yesterday, I was with the Minister of Finance. The President has agreed that we need to be able to retool and revamp the whole of the CID and with the gadgets that they are using. Because, I mean, it looks like almost everything there is obsolete. So I know they have those challenges, but I want to believe that publishing some of this on their website will help. So at least the citizens know that when it comes to the work that they are doing, these are the trends and these are the things that they are doing. So I'll encourage the IGP to publish those things on their website.
That will be great. From our work, we have noticed that they haven't released since 2018.
Well, I know that, I mean, the previous IGP had a certain mindset about publishing, what do you call it, crime statistics. This IGP, I want to believe, may have a different view. I will encourage him to try and advertise it or at least publish it so that citizens know what is happening. Even if they can do it regionally, so people know which areas are more difficult for us and which areas are a little easy to maintain the public safety.
Honorable, we'll take a break. When we come back, let's talk a bit more public safety and then some border security. We'll be right back. My guest is the Minister of the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak. Honorable, thank you so much for your patience.
You're welcome.
I want to talk about floods because only recently in Sekandi, when it rained, floods occurred and, the people could not move about, which is an important component of public safety. How well is this administration doing in keeping our cities dry when it rains?
Well, I mean, you know that most of the drains that we have falls under the Works and Housing Ministry. But when it comes to disaster management, that falls under us, that's NADMO. And you will see that, especially in Accra, some of the effort that we're making ahead of the rain season, where together with the regional minister, National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has started demolishing structures that are on waterway, making sure that, streams are desilted. I've seen them do that in Kumasi, in a lot of our cities. The challenge is that resources is one of their biggest headache. Because like I always tell, yesterday I was telling the finance minister, it looks like when there's no bad news, you don't want to release resources. And he said that, well, I agree with him. The challenges are enormous, and trying to cut the cake into pies that at least can go around. Sometimes something may be very urgent, but at that moment there's very little you can do. I must admit that NADMO is doing so well. Last year, you didn't hear much about Bagri Dam, but they will spill it.
Oh, well, yes. Just a little bit.
Yes, because you didn't hear people losing their life, because they were way ahead, and trying to educate people, try to remove people from waterways, try to sensitize people, and all that. And NADMO is doing so much of that. They are doing that. Yes, it's unfortunate. In Sekondi, like you already said, there was this flooding. They are looking at what caused it. How can we prevent it from happening this year? Remember, too, sometimes you expect, meteorological department will tell us that, we expect this quantum of water. Sometimes we get far more. And that, sometimes there's very little you can do about it, because your drains are designed to accommodate certain volume. If you have more than that volume, no matter how prepared you are, obviously you may have flooding on your street. But I want to believe that the Works and Housing Ministry is working so hard on those ones. But for us, as those who are managing disaster, ours is disaster response. Ours is to look ahead and see, are there some obstacles that we need to remove? And we are going around removing them. Sometimes people are not happy with us because they think that we are we've been sitting here all this year. Why are you now disturbing us? But we realize that where you sit is part of what is causing sometimes the flooding, not at your end, but at the other end. And we need to clear you so that, now water will have its way and be able to move. So NADMO is doing so much of that, even though they are under, serious constraint of resources.
So the resource constraint, is it affecting our institutions' ability to do their work?
Well, naturally, if you have an institution that solely relies on GOG, that's Government of Ghana funding, and as we rightly said, because of the IMF and all the challenges that confront the finance ministry, and they are not able to generate that much, obviously those institutions will be affected. In the case of NADMO, there's nothing they do that are able to help them to self-generate. So they don't have a IGF. All they do is to rely on the government funding to do most of the things. So even sometimes when they are allocated and it is not released on good time, it becomes a challenge. But believe me, they are doing the best that they can under the current constraint. And last year, like I said, they did a lot of good work, because when we had this issue of Benyiri, they were there. When we had our citizens in Côte d'Ivoire, they were there to support them. Bagri Dam was spilled. We didn't see people dying. Even in Accra here, you didn't see so much of the flood, because they are doing a lot of work ahead of the rain season.
I see. I want to talk about Tamale. When the IGP Special Operations Team were leaving, the people were pleading with them not to. From the ministry's point of view, how impressed are you by the work done there so far?
Well, very, very, very impressed. It's sad. When we create special operations units or special task force, they are not supposed to be at one place for long. I can tell you, this same units, when we came, under the IGP Teteyo Yonu, we first used them in Galamsey operation, in the Tokwa area, and they did so well. We moved them to Asante region, they did so well. They were in Asante region when we had this challenge with the Benyiri, and they were moved in there. So the strategy is that you have this specialized group that are well trained in a very special way. What they do is that they go into an area, stabilize the situation, and leave the local police enforcement to continue.
But for some people, responses like we saw in Tamale is testament that the commands that are resident there are not up to the task.
Well, I mean, that's how you see, because you see, if you look at every city, we have a certain minimum number of officers. I must admit, in the north, it's one of the biggest challenges that we're having. It's not only in Tamale. Most of the big cities that we have in the north do not have the minimum required number of officers. So when you send this special operation, obviously they will be seen more visible, because all the attacks, for example, in the case of this special group, was to deal with drugs, illegal, drug trade and all that. So they come to focus. But I remember the resident police, they deal with traffic, they deal with armed robbery, they deal with all the other issues. So they are thinly spread, especially when their numbers are not up to the minimum. As against a special force that comes and their focus is, so you see that those ones, they were not dealing with the traffic issues in Tamale. They were not dealing with so many other issues in Tamale. They were rather focused on the drug issues.
So now that they have left, we expect those vices to increase.
So we expect that they have helped the local police push down the level of crime to a level that they should be able to cope. Because you see, because they are specialized units, we are not able to allow them to stay at one place for long. Because as they've come, they are going to be reassigned. One of the things that we are doing, under the current IGP, is that we've agreed that we should train more of the specialized units. So that if you have many more, let's say you have maybe up to 10 sets of such specialized units, what we mean is that as these ones move out, others are coming in. So you keep sustaining the pressure. But remember, especially with drug peddlers, as you put pressure in Tamale, they will relocate to another place. So if you stay in Tamale forever, what you simply do is that you push them out to another place where you need to also be there again.
So it's not the case that the local police are incapable of dealing with the vices in these areas like Tamale, so much that we should fear that the vices will increase again now that the special task force is no longer there.
Not at all, because we are supporting the regional commander to be able to sustain the good work that these guys. Because remember, they've destroyed it, the chain. They've destroyed most of their infrastructure. So now it makes it easy to maintain the minimum number left, instead of the large numbers that were so wild and you didn't have adequate men to deal with. So, in much the same way, even when they left Binyiri, people were saying that, hey, now that they are leaving, are not careful, then the violence will come back. So no, they push it to a level that we believe that their absence will not degenerate the situation. And truly, it didn't degenerate. So I want to assure our citizens in Tamale that we are not going to take our eyes off the crime level there, except to say that we couldn't keep the special operation there forever. They have to be deployed elsewhere. And be rest assured, anytime it becomes necessary to redeploy another special forces, why not? We will do it. But special forces are not meant to stay for long. I remember sometimes there were some special forces in Zabzugu. They didn't have to stay there forever. They had to be moved out. Even in Boko and Binduri, even in Nalorgu, at the peak of the crisis, we had a number of special forces, including military special forces, but they don't stay for long. They stay there sometimes a month or two, depending on the situation that they are dealing with. And once the situation is under control, they have to be relocated.
I see. When the Ghanaian traders were killed in Burkina Faso, your ministry said it was in touch with local authorities in Burkina Faso. In those talks with Burkina Faso, did we find out who exactly attacked these traders?
Well, you know that yes, they knew those who were doing it, and they are the violent extremists.
Which of them?
Well, I don't have the names of head, obviously, but they operate between Mali and Burkina Faso. And there's a huge challenge in Mali. Mali has a bigger challenge than even Burkina Faso. So there are a lot of unmanned areas So these guys move into those areas and sometimes come at a time that they are least expected. I mean, vent their anger on unnecessary or innocent civilians, and they run back. And this particular group were told were on motorbikes, about 250 of them, and they entered that town, Titao, and started shooting, indiscriminately. Virtually every male they see was a target. And in fact, the Burkina Faso authority did very well because within 3 to 4 hours they were able to retake back the city. But even though a lot of people lost their life, because over 300 people lost their life in that city, it's just too unfortunate that our citizens were caught between those fires. And one thing that we are doing is that we've been talking, our immigration have been talking to our traders. Right. And then together with our embassy in Ouagadougou, advising our traders as to the areas that they shouldn't go and where they should go. And in this particular instance, even the women themselves will tell you, they were advised that those areas were not safe. And for a very long period of time, they had not been going there. But they were said that those guys there called to tell them that, oh, you stop coming now, tomato is cheaper, much cheaper than where you are buying. And I was told that they said that it's about almost 80% cheaper than where they, and they decided that, oh, can we give it a try? Unfortunately, that was the first try, and they went and caught themselves in the fire.
Between your ministry, the Defense Ministry, and the Foreign Affairs Ministry, which of you should have briefed Parliament on the incident?
Well, the way we work, interestingly, all of us sit on the National Security Council, Foreign Ministry, Interior Ministry, and Defense Ministry. But the interesting thing, as you know, I also supervise the national security. So that makes mine even double. And I want to believe that what we do is complementing each other. Remember, around that time, the foreign minister and the president were in Addis, in the AU meeting. So, yes, I got the information first through immigration, because immigration were at the borders. So they got the information, I quickly relayed to the foreign minister. Can we confirm that with our counterparts in Burkina Faso? I also got in touch with the national security minister of Burkina Faso. Initially, he thought that, oh, there were no Ghanaians. We said, no, our intel says that there were Ghanaians. So people will say, who should have been speaking? But the foreign minister was in Addis. I was home. And remember, like I said, all of us sit on both the Armed Forces Council. All of us, myself, Defense Minister and Foreign Minister, we all sit on the Armed Forces Council. All of us also sit on the National Security Council. Yes, I was home. We didn't have substantive Defense Minister because the Finance Minister was also busy with finance issue. So stepping in on behalf of all of us, I don't see anything wrong with it. And I want to believe that if something had happened, and even if it had to do with Interior Ministry, and I was abroad, and my colleague, the Foreign Minister or the Defense Minister, steps in, gets my briefing, get my information, I get him the technical guy to support him or her, they should be able to address the public about our security, because all of us work hand in hand. And was there an official briefing to Parliament? Yes, we did at the committee. At the committee level? Of Intelligence and Defense. And I was there with the defense team, with the Deputy Minister of Defense to brief them. So this confusion around who was the most appropriate person, is that why it took so long? Because we had the minority hammering over and over again that somebody needed to come to Parliament and tell the people's representatives? Well, for me, with the greater respect, I thought that having issued a statement to the whole Ghanaian public, including members of Parliament, having addressed the press a number of times, spoken on the fine issues, told them what we're doing, was, yes, they needed the fine details. Yes, and when they invited us, I don't think, they said the first date, the day they said, that they were there to brief them. So if they were calling for a briefing, maybe the minority were calling for a briefing, and they had not gotten their majority counterparts who chair the committee to set a date. We don't say, because we've heard on radio that a minority is demanding that Parliament should be briefed, we are here to brief you. That's not how Parliament works. You have to be invited and be given time and date to come and do the briefing, and that's when you will go. And when they did, we were there to brief them. Are Ghanaian traders safe going outside this country to its neighboring countries or to its neighbors like Burkina Faso to trade? Why not? I mean, we continue to advise them. Even now, one of the things that we have done from this Ministry of Interior is to task our immigration officers that when they are going, they should get their contact, so that even whilst they are there, they can keep talking to them. And if it becomes necessary, we can get our counterparts, just as we've been doing for them, to escort them if it becomes necessary. Because we've been doing that a lot.
Will it be so hard to give foolproof security at this time based on the dynamics of, cross-border issues?
Let's admit, yes, Burkina Faso is not just too insecure as people create the impression. Yes, there are sections that are difficult to reach and that are very difficult to be rest assured. I mean, with the greater respect, is that like you asking me that can I compare a situation if I'm going to be loitering on the street of Kumasi as against loitering on the street of Boko in the night? I will tell you to be more careful on the street of Boko in the night because there's curfew, because we believe that the violent activities have not died off completely than say maybe in Kumasi. So in the same with Burkina Faso, they have sections, they have difficulties, and they have sections that are easy to move. So our advice constantly from our embassy, our border security personnel, is to keep advising our traders, if you are going, please watch this area. You want to go to Aflao, don't get to Aflao because Aflao may be difficult. You can go up to Sogakope, you can go up to Tema, after Afenya, up to Adan, but please don't get to Aflao, something like that. So we've been doing that with our citizens. And I want to assure them that we'll continue to cooperate with them because between us, honestly, the borders, sometimes you and I, when we sit in big cities and talk about borders, we imagine as if there's some gate. The borders are imaginary, honestly. I mean,
has the investigations into the stampede at Elwak concluded? Are you aware?
When you talk about the one with the military?
Yes.
Obviously, I believe that information should be with the Defense Ministry.
Hasn't your ministry shown any interest in that?
I sit at the Armed Forces Council. I can't recollect it coming up, but it's something of interest. Why not? I can always find out. Because we work together, so I can always find out from them. But honestly,
any borders on, the borders on the safety, public safety, so to speak, of the Ghanaian people.
But as you know, I mean, because these are institutions that are independent, sometimes you don't just rush telling them that, can you give me the information on that? What we did was to use that as a guide when we started our recruitment process, just to make sure that we avoided a situation that they found themselves through. And I want to believe that even subsequent to that, they themselves revised the steps that they were taking and made sure that the rest of the process that they were carrying was very smoothly.
I see. I want to talk about issues around recruitment because recently the minority leader has had to apologize to you over certain comments that he had passed. He coming back with that apology. You considered his comments as heavily hurting you. Yeah. So he coming back with that apology. How did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, you choose to serve in a public office, and it comes with its challenges. And sometimes these are some of the things that comes your way. I've been a member of parliament for over 2 decades, so I know this very well. And yes, I believe that it was not necessary because this is somebody that we have all served in leadership before, and I was just a phone call away. Even if not call, as minority, that he has every right to write demanding explanation about certain issues that he didn't, he wasn't sure. He could do it 2 ways, by asking parliamentary questions where I have to come and answer, or writing to request that information directly from me, which I must give him because the minority that I'm a member of parliament. Or if you had come to say that, look, bro, I've heard about this, I want to have a conversation. Can I see any evidence that this didn't happen? Is there any evidence that you went through the right procedures? I've heard about that. Those things could be done. But I don't know why he chose to do what he did. But once he apologized, once he's done that, knowing the rules of the house very well, remember that I've been in the leadership for long, I know the rules. Knowing the rules of the house very well, it disenables you because the worst will happen, you will go to privileges and you come after swearing and say that, look, I'm sorry, I didn't get my facts right. I want to apologize and withdraw my retract the statement.
But
that will have ended.
You have 18 private partners. Why do you think TribeNet is the one that stuck out for him to use as a case in Parliament?
Well, I think this question he best answered by himself. But the interesting thing is that for me, frankly speaking, we wanted a solution. And a number of them, I think about 4 of them also came to do a presentation. And we saw the answer in the TribeNet. And then we didn't just stop there. We wrote to PPA saying that, look, we've shortlisted these 3. We want to go through the process so that we can. I mean, they granted it. We came, all the agencies, prison, police, immigration, fire, individually signed with TribeNet. And then, believe me, so far, they've done so. I mean, I remember in some of our discussion, there was concern that, look, they've done this in the past, but they did it individually. Now that we are centralizing it, wouldn't the data be too huge so that it may crash? If it crashes, what's going to happen? Thank God they've done it so excellently. And I mean, this is a Ghanaian company, I mean, led by young people. Frankly speaking, when I met them, I saw that this is the future of our country. I mean, fully owned Ghanaian. And we are even thinking that with what they've done, there are a lot more we can do with them at the ministry. Because, I mean, you won't believe it, currently we don't have a digital system to manage the inmates in prison. The HRs for most of our services are still manual. There's a lot they can do,
So
especially they are fully
It's not true that the aptitude test is AI managed.
No, it's not true.
It's not true that we sidestep leadership of the security institutions.
No, that's not true. Because see, what we do is that, and when we came, remember there was some recruits in training, and then there was this hula balloon, and then we set up a committee. The committee came and recommended that, look, they realized that one of the big gap is that the ministry is not playing its oversight effectively. So in this particular instance, we tried to play our oversight very effectively. But believe me, the HR of each of the institutions are fully in charge. Any state process that we are carrying, they are fully in charge. These questions that they were talking about, each of the services provided questions into the pool. But you see, when you go in, it comes random. But all of them pull questions into what it is. And the process is ongoing. And I can assure you that one of the things that I'm happy about, that I'm sure you and I have been in this country for a very long period of time, I've never had this kind of recruitment going on without hearing these people have defrauded these people with this money, these people have defrauded that, because the system is very airtight. It takes everybody's hands off. It allows the process to be managed without interference. And that's some of the difficulties that everybody has, because in the past, it was easy to do one manipulation or the other. And people think that maybe, why are we just changing from one extreme to another? But I thought that the best that you can do under the given circumstances is to have a system that do not allow so much interference.
I see. Why are we introducing a new national security bill when we could just amend Act 1030?
Well, I mean, this question has come on the floor of Parliament, and I said that sometimes if you overhaul it, it gives you opportunity to correct all the other things that you might have been passed with the previous one. Yes, Act 1030 was passed not too long ago, and now we have to take it through all this. Yes, someone will say that, if it is about the BNI or NIB, why not call for an amendment? If it's about the function of the minister, why not just call for an amendment? If it is about including narcotics and National Identification Authority at the regional and district, why not just call for amendment? Look at the number of things that I've mentioned to you already. They are becoming too many, so why not just take the opportunity to overhaul it? And that's what we are doing.
I see. One of the criticism of the bill, when I read the reports, had to do with issues around oversight, not only oversight of the office, but also oversight of expenditure. There were also issues around too much executive power in terms of the president now appointing the ministry to be in charge of national security. How is the process taking into account all those criticism?
Well, I mean, if you look at the way National Security Council is set up, in fact, I've always argued that it's in the Constitution in Article 83, set it out to make the President the National Security Minister. Except that the President cannot be walking to Parliament to answer questions or to address public. So that's why he assigned someone to do it. Because everything virtually sits with the President, the way the Constitution has couched it in Article 83. So when people say that, oh, there's too much executive influence, that is how our Constitution has been carved. So if we want to change it, then let's change it from there. Because you can't use an act of Parliament to amend the Constitution. That's one of the things that all of us should know. You can't use an act of Parliament to amend the Constitution. And the Constitution, Article 83, is very emphatic. It's the President that chairs it. Except, like I said, you can't get the President to be answering to the media or to go to Parliament to answer questions about national security. So he has to assign someone. But frankly speaking, if you look at the role that the National Security Coordinator plays and a substantive Minister for National Security, you are just setting up conflict.
I see. Intelligence spending has been a major source of contest in one court case that is going on now to do with the former intelligence head. How is this new bill ensuring financial oversight of our intelligence agencies?
Well, I mean, I really wish there could be a better way to do it than it is now. But believe me, my sister, sometimes you'll be there and something is burning and you need to put it off, not later, but to put it off now. And knowing very well that our public financial management system or act, there's no way you'll be able to put it off now. Because by the time you now go to the procurement, before you do that, I mean, if the thing is consuming, it will have finished consuming everybody. That is why I want to believe all over the world, there's a system that is designed with the security so that for them, we need to put it off now, we put it off now. Meaning, resources must be made available to be able to deal with those excesses. Yes, I agree. Will you say that because of possible abuse, because of possible excesses, you should lose sight of the importance of the ability to deal with the problem when it's happening swiftly?
Are you saying we can delicately balance the two?
That's why I'm saying that in the act it is there, because yes, they are audited to make sure that at least what they are doing is something that is not, there are not too many excesses. But if we want to restrict the way they operate, believe me, the country will grant. I will give you like a number of examples, maybe just two. When we had this issue of Binyere, if you were relying on Minister of Interior, the whole place would have finished burning before we get there. Yes, I went to see the Yagbonwura within 2-3 days. Remember, I had to go with the National Security Coordinator. The things that needed to be done, even if Minister of Finance had released money to Minister of Interior, the processes of getting that money to go there will have meant that we won't be there to save the situation. By the time we get there, the problem will have been off. But because the National Security vote was there, we could rely on it to hold the system, deal with the matter swiftly, whilst we were now taking our time to catch up with the mediation committee and what they will be able to do and all that. So let's not lose sight. Even Boko, Binduri, a number of times things happen and you need to move in immediately. You can't. If you go to Minister of Defense, they can't move there immediately. Interior will not be able to move there immediately. So the police you can't move. Because if they have to move, you have to go through the requisition, the processes, but with the national security apparatus, we are able to swiftly move in. So that's why it is there. So yes, I agree with you. Sometimes there can be abuse, there can be excesses, but I always say, auditors that audit that outfit should also be up and doing.
Right. Let's settle this. Is the new national security bill a political statement, or there really is need to repeal Act 1030?
Obviously, there's a need. Other than that, there's no way we'll have taken it to Parliament. There's a need. If it was just an amendment, we'll have done it. Amendments are much easier to do, as you know. Why would I go through the drudgery of doing all this if there's no need for it? And simply, when I can just simply go for 2 or 3 amendments. but there's the need to overhaul it, and that's why we are doing it.
Honorable, your office occupies a very peculiar position in that you interact with all the other security apparatus of this country. Yeah. With the absence of Defense Minister 8 months on, how is your work, National Security Coordinator, and the Defense Ministry going? Well,
I mean, let me say that the acting Defense Minister, who is the Finance Minister, is likely to have a very able deputy who is always there, and you have a very efficient CDS, that's Chief of Defense Staff. I mean, I remember the soul of my former colleague, so rest in peace. We used to every now and then, if something is urgent, we'll do conference call. I mean, you have the CDS and himself, myself, the National Security Coordinator, and the IGP. We continue to do that, except that we now miss him. And the deputy is there, the Finance Minister is there. And remember, when it comes to our security, you cannot go around without the President. And the President is always available.
Isn't it time we fill to that position?
Well, ideally, yes. And the President, I know, at the right time, he will do the needful. But I can assure you, there's no vacuum, because the President is always available. I remember there was a time I called him, then I said, "Sir, I'm very sorry, I'm calling." He said, "No, Montega, I'm always available." He is always available. The things that we all used to do with him, we continue to do. And because he's the Commander-in-Chief, we'll have the CDS. All we need is to tell, what the Defense Minister used to do, is to tell the CDS, we need to do A, B, C, D. And as if Destin knew. We started that when my late colleague Omane was there. That, look, can we be doing the things together? So that at least we can know what is happening. I can know what is happening in defense. They can know what's happening in interior and national security. So we're doing it. And interestingly, we're doing it with the President. So his absence, maybe that is what is making the President think that, there's no need to rush into doing it, because we continue to do these things. And you won't believe it. The President of our country, so humble to the extent that his ministers will call him and do conference call with him when issue is very critical. So yes, but I know the ideal thing is that everywhere, everybody expects that you should have a certain defense minister. It gives people more comfort. But I can assure you, we are doing the best that we can under the circumstances.
You don't consider there's a lapse in judgment?
Oh, no, not at all. But I really wish that the President will get this so that people will stop worrying us about where's your defense minister and where's your defense minister. Because a number of times I had to attend meetings like in the, Abuja and others. I mean, on the behalf of the defense minister. But because we're working as a team and we share knowledge and intelligence and what we do, experience and expertise in all our field, you may say that there's no vacuum. But for the sake of the politics of it, I wish that the President nominates or appoints somebody so that people will stop worrying us about when are you going to have a defense minister.
Thank you very much for sitting down with us.
Most welcome.
Honorable Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak is Minister of the Interior for this country. We've been looking at all things public safety, our security agencies, and your safety as well. I'll see you next week with another episode of Hot Issues. I'm Kemini Amano. Bye-bye.